Cronos: The New Dawn is the latest release from Blooper Team, the studio behind the Silent Hill 2 remake. While I didn't have high expectations going in, I was still excited to give it a try. Now that I've finished it after around 10 hours, I can't help but feel like I'll forget this game in a week. The story starts out pretty confusing. It eventually builds to an exciting conclusion with a pretty decent payoff, but the game also has multiple endings, which felt very forced to me. Visually, the game impresses with its technical aspects, but the environment and enemies are surprisingly bland and uninspired. The main character is great, however, especially the suit design, but the rest of the world feels underdeveloped. It really needed more thematic depth, something like BioShock, where the environment feels as rich and engaging as the character. Instead, you're going to be exploring rundown apartments and fighting the same copy-pasted gooey enemies the whole time through. In a lot of ways, this game actually reminded me of the Callisto Protocol, which was another game that was received very poorly that I quite enjoyed. It even steals the mechanic where enemies will end up evolving as you fight them. See, one of the main gimmicks is that if you don't end up burning an enemy corpse, another enemy can come around and eat it up and get stronger. But all it really does is give it more armor, forcing you to shoot specific parts on it in order to deal damage. Despite those issues, when it comes to the gameplay, it's solid, but the core game loop feels shallow. The entire game consists of combat and walking, with some occasional twists like walking upside down. It doesn't do much to prevent the experience from feeling repetitive very quickly. Another issue I'm not seeing many people talk about in their review is inventory management. Frankly speaking, it's horrible. There are too many guns cluttering up your inventory, and even key items will take precious slots. By the end of the game, I had to take multiple trips to a storage locker over and over again because one of the final missions has you fill your inventory up with 6 key items at a time. Perhaps the most egregious part of the game is that it relies on grinding through New Game Plus to fully max out your character. While you can respec at any time, you don't get all of your resources back, and there's no way to farm for more. This means you could easily find yourself in a position where you've respec too many times and are out of resources, effectively soft locking your save. This feels like a major design oversight. The game also has some terrible balancing when it comes to ammo distribution. I hope this gets patched for anybody that decides to play this game in the future, but there was a couple moments in this game where I died because I ran out of ammo. It didn't feel like the game got the better of me either, just that I wasn't getting enough ammo to deal with the spongy enemies. To be fair, there was maybe like 1 or 2 really intense moments where I got down to a single bullet just as I finished the combat encounter. It felt really satisfying, but the rest of the game makes me think that that wasn't intentional, more like a happy accident. Despite how negative this review may sound, I did quite enjoy my time with Cronos. As mentioned, the story does come to a satisfying conclusion, but any type of story that has to do with a time paradox usually can get very muddy, and this game is no exception. As for my recommendation, I'm kind of on the fence. If you enjoy this type of game, like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, or Dead Space, then you could give this a try, but if you haven't played any of the games that I just mentioned, go get those instead. The Dead Space remake, for example, is a god-tier version of this same game. My main issue with Cronos is the fact that it lacks its own identity. It feels like an amalgamation of other games all combined into one without having a cohesive answer to what makes this game special compared to its competitors.